What's up guys, Hanif here, and in this video I'm going to be walking you guys through the editing process for this image from Lightroom to Photoshop from start to finish. So let's get started with this video. What's up guys, Hanif here. Before I continue this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just remember to turn on my notifications to be notified whenever I drop a new video. Now in this video, before I continue, this is a little before and after of this image in just Lightroom. I haven't done the skin retouching yet and the finishing touches. This is just Lightroom. So this is a before and after all the color grading, color correction, and all of that. So I'm going to walk you guys through how I edited this image. So first thing I usually do here is my white balance. I usually increase it a bit to kind of like fit the skin tone most of the time, so I get a most accurate white balance. So what I usually look at when I'm working my white balance is the skin. So I did my white balance to fit the closest to the skin tone of the model or the person in the image. So apart from that, I did the basic adjustments here, a little bit of contrast. I lifted my shadows up. Since I'm working with bright skin, you should check out my video on how I edit dark skin images to see why I did this. So for dark skin, I usually bring my shadows down, to make the skin a bit darker, to get that more dark shade on the skin. But for lighter skin models, I usually bring the shadows up, so like the bit of the skin should show more. So I brought my highlights down and my blacks for that extra contrast. I brought my saturation down by a lot here. I don't want too much of colors. I just want everything to be balanced. It's funny how I reduce my saturation by a lot and it still has this vibrant feel regardless. So this is before and this is after. And then moving on to my tone curve. This is before, this after my tone curve. And this is where most of the color grading is done. If you understand your tone curve very well, the color grading won't be a problem for you, because you can always achieve the type of look you want for your image. All you have to do is just have the look you want in mind, and then what's left for you is just to do what you can in tone curve to get the image you want. So my tone curve, I lifted the blacks up here to give it that little bit of faded look here, and then my shadows up a bit, for the bit of the skin to show a bit more, and then my midtones and my highlights, I lifted them up a bit. So I move over to my red channel. I got this blue highlights, this little bit of blue highlights here, because I brought down my the highlights of my red down a bit. If you understand a tone curve, you know that the opposite of your reds in a tone curve is your blue. So if you're bringing it down, you're adding blues to the image. Bringing it up, you're adding reds to the you bring it down, you're adding blues to the highlights. You bring it up, you're adding red to the highlights. Yeah, so moving on, I didn't do anything in my grain, I just left that there. And then for the blues also, it's the same way. The opposite of the blues, yeah, is the red. So I brought the blues in the highlights up, a bit, to give it that little bit of blue in the highlights. I like getting that look, that little bit of blue in the highlights. It adds that cool look in the overall image. After increasing my temperature and all of that, so it still gives it that cool look. So moving on to my the shadows of my blues, I brought it down to add a little bit of red to the shadows. Your skin is a combination of reds, yellows, and orange. So red and yellow makes orange. So your skin is basically a combination of red and yellows. So understanding that lets you know when and where to add certain colors to certain areas of your image. So for my saturation here, this is before and after. So I didn't really like this blue, so I edited it a bit. I brought the hues of the blue up, and then I reduced the saturation a bit. I don't want my colors to be everywhere. I like reducing saturation of certain parameters so that I can get a more balanced color, what looks good to me. So I usually reduce my yellows, red and orange sometimes. Why I do this, because when editing lots of images here, I feel like reducing my yellows gives me a more accurate skin tone. I don't know if you get what I mean, but let me show you something. So this is my yellows is up. If you look at this image clearly, you see that the skin, everything looks a little bit too much, so that's why I reduce my yellows. I feel like reducing my yellows gives my images a more cleaner look overall. So yeah, that's basically for the HSL panel. For my split toning, I also added blues to the highlights, and then my shadows, I added a color that fits the skin tone as usual. So this is usually my preferred numbers when dealing with my split tone. I usually do it around 30 to 40 and around that area. And then my saturation, I usually don't make it too much there. I did a little bit of sharpening here, which is what that I didn't really do much there, to be honest. So my camera calibration, this is before camera calibration, after camera calibration. I feel if you know how to use a camera calibration properly, it's a very nice way to color correct your images. So I increased. I just most times my camera calibration, I'm usually just playing around till I get the colors that I want per se. So I increased the red primers here, to get, like I said, I usually use it as a method for color correction. So I just adjust each parameter to get more accurate colors, like colors that are like that fit my vision for the image. So that's all the adjustments I did in Lightroom. This is a little before and after here. So we're going to move over to Photoshop, where we're going to do the finishing touches on these images. So let's move over to Photoshop right now. Before I continue with this image, I just want to remind you guys that my pack of 10 Lightroom presets is still available on Etsy. First link in the description below. You can get my pack of 10 presets. These presets are I use these presets all the time for client photos, most of my photos on Instagram, and most of these presets I usually use to edit and color grade dark skin, since lots of people usually ask me how I get my dark skin tones, the presets and all that. So I decided to give you guys a pack of 10 presets, so you can check that out, link in the description below. So back to this image. First thing I'm going to do here is duplicate the layer. Now I want to sharpen this image first, so I'm going to go to my Retouching and camera panel. I use this panel all the time. It really shortens the amount of work you have to do most times. So I've sharpened this image. As you can see, this is before and after. Now if you don't have the Retouching and camera panel, you can always duplicate your layer, move over to filter and high pass, filter order, I think it's order, high pass. Then you increase this according to the amount of sharpening you want to do, and then after switching to high pass, you switch to overlay, and boom, your image will be sharpened. But I enjoy using my Retouching and camera panel to make everything smoother and faster. So Ctrl E to merge that layer. And next thing I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to do my frequency separation. So moving out to 8-bit. So retain more textures in the skin. I'm going to leave. I usually keep it around 5.6, to around 7 for close-up portraits to retain more texture in the skin. So I'm going to keep it like 5.8. Then I'll duplicate my low frequency layer using my lasso tool. I'm going to now select the parts I want to soften and retouch. Move over to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, then choose the amount of blur I want. I usually don't like getting it past 10 or 12, so I usually leave it around within this area. So next I'm going to do is just, that's all I'm basically going to do right now. So I'm going to fasten this, I'm going to speed up this process a bit, so but you get the hang of it.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storm.
Now for the purpose of this video, I'm just being quick with this. So but on a normal day I would usually just take my time with this, but I'm just showing you guys a quick way, or the how I retouch this image. So just showing you guys the whole process for this image in particular. Now this image was shot with natural light using a reflector, in case you need to know that. And then boom, we have done the frequency separation here, and we aren't quite done yet. So next thing I'm going to be doing is get rid of our acne. So I'm going to use my clone stamp tool for that. So like I said, I'm going to be fast about this, so I'm just rushing this up and just showing you guys the whole process. Now I haven't quite gotten rid of everything properly, but like I said, it's for the purpose of this video. So I'm going to do some more corrections in the low frequency layer with my Gaussian blur. So yeah, we are officially done with the frequency separation. So this is before and after frequency separation. So you can see the amount of change that the frequency separation has done. It makes our skin look smoother, and the image looks way more pleasing to the eye right now. So next thing I'm going to be doing here is whiten our eyes. Like most of you that follow my channel constantly know that I usually use my magic smile tool for this. I did a little bit of mistake there. Okay, so I'll reduce the opacity a bit, let the whitening not be too much. So I usually leave around 60 to 70. So as you can see the amount of change that has been done to this image. So this image is perfect right now. So this is before Photoshop, after Photoshop. So a huge amount of change and difference can be seen from the very start of this image to the final result right now. So if you like this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.